Welcome and thank you for clicking on my video today. The stock market is showing some signals that could be saying get the out. Literally, you're seeing a bunch of signals out here that are confirming as of today, telling you to run for the hills, run away from the stock market, and that is no joke. Even though we're trading the price action, we're going to go over some stock market analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, NVIDIA, AMD, and Meta today. I'm going to show you these signals that are telling you to run away from stocks very, very quickly in April, but that doesn't mean we're not going to trade the price action. We know that things can still head up. That's why we are still trading like water. Well, let's show you guys some of these signals. Now, it's not to say we can't still trade on a day-to-day basis, and we're going to be making sure to give you guys those daily expected moves for the SPY and the Qs moving forward, but I just wanted to show you huge signals that are confirming today, and we're seeing a red bar on the histogram with a divergence here coming up as a double top for HYG. This is high yield growth, and if anything, this is called the smart money, and smart money is officially saying, hey, this was a false breakout, and we are breaking down to the downside here. So we're getting that crossover on the MACD. Can this go negative? Well, now it can. We have the potential to set up that negative trend. So this is the first real signal that's really saying, hey, be very, very cautious in this area, even if we see some upward moves. Now, the next one I wanted to show you was the VIX. Now, the VIX, we overall were stating how this had a double bottom and the SPY had a double bottom or a double top at the same time. That's when I really like to pay attention to it. Look at this, just about to cross. So you got maybe 24 hours until this actually crosses to the upside. We'll have to pay attention to that. Yes, we're going to break this down on shorter time frames, so we could be seeing some kind of pullback before that happens. But this is overall saying, hey, once this crosses, we could go into a positive trend with volatility, seeing some selling in the overall market. And with HYG also producing that huge red day as of right now, you have to say smart money is running for the hills here, and we are actually seeing retail get more and more leverage to the tits, and I believe they're actually going to have that ripped away very, very soon, maybe even in this month of April. One signal to pay attention to, another one screaming a little bit, hey, today is not a good day. Now it's still at that 5-day moving average, but the housing sector, HGX, actually showing a good red day here, down almost 1.5% on the day. If this starts to confirm down, you can say, hey, say goodbye to that housing market, because this thing is most likely going to head down pretty quick. So this might be happening as of today also because of those yields, right? We're seeing a ton of signals that are telling us that this is going to get ugly, and we're now seeing those yields about to maybe curl up into positive territory. If these yields actually head higher, the bond market sells off, we could be seeing those rates go up, which puts those banks under a lot of pressure. And we do have Jerome Powell talking on Wednesday, so make sure to tune in on Wednesday, because we'll have a little bit longer stream. We can talk about a lot of this stuff live. And another note, today was Bruce's birthday and it's April Fool's Day. So today is going to be the last day to officially get that course down in the description for $100 if you want to learn some of this stuff. But make sure, if you're new here, to watch some of the videos first. Make sure that this trading style is something that you really like. Make sure the information's good. And then you can go and check out that course, but make sure to do that tonight, as it is only $100 for the next 24 hours. By tomorrow morning, going to increase in price. But I just want you to pay attention to this. This is a huge move up. Huge move up, and we didn't even see the Qs really come down, right? The Qs ending positive. When you see a firm move up like this, a very rapid move up in these yields, you should see that downward move in the Qs, and that's because these growth companies, these growth stocks, tech stocks, they need to, keep getting more loans. They need to keep getting more money in order to keep growing, and now that is getting more and more expensive. It is getting more and more expensive, and therefore usually you see those tech stocks sell off, and we're not necessarily seeing that as of today across the board. We're seeing a few sell off, but not necessarily across the board. This is something that should really worry you if it keeps going, especially if it gets above 4.362. Last signal flashing red right here is the dollar. The dollar just keeps creeping up. And remember, this is supposed to be negative correlation, but look at that big bar we got going on right now. This is the dollar gaining more strength. This is more insiders selling to people like myself and yourself, right? More people on the inside selling to those retail traders. And as of right now, you're seeing this go into positive territory. Sure, we can get some kind of divergence or something and fall back, but right now this is seeing some extreme strength, and we could just keep going on the dollar, or maybe this wants to consolidate and see a pop in the future. So not saying positivity can't happen. I'm just saying that the signals are really pointing towards a top in April. Now let's hop into the SPY, and the SPY is actually giving you one of those crazy signals as of right now. Time to pay attention to the SPY, but we're going to look at those daily expected moves for tomorrow. Remember, the weekly is the purple and the daily is the red here, and we're going to go 524.72 to the upside, and we have 519.60 to the downside. So they haven't really changed, just got a little bit thinner. So we could get a nothing day, we could get a reaction down and then see that come back up. Remember, just if we get outside of this, get excited to the upside, get excited to the downside, know that there's a 68% chance that we do land in this zone. So we ended right in the middle today, and that's something to pay attention to. But as of right now, we're seeing us fall down to lower levels, right? We're seeing us creep down just a little bit more, ending a little bit down on the day, but really just right in the middle here. So we have to see if we're going to touch one of these weeklies. As of right now, this tomorrow's price action, or at least tomorrow's ranges, looking like not that big of a move priced in. So if we see something crazy, we can use that as support to head higher. If we see some crazy selling, we can use that as resistance then to head lower. These act as support and resistance once you break through them. So that's something to pay attention to. As we are flagging right now, we can go look at a 30-minute chart. The 30-minute chart looking like it might want to curl up into positive territory again, means a positive move can come. So we want to pay attention to, if it sees that positivity, we want to pay attention to the upside of that risk range. But real quick, just to show you guys, a 2-hour divergence likes to roll down the daily pretty good. And the fact that we're seeing this at this level, almost a double top up here, and we're seeing things like all of those signals that I just showed you, this could be where we see a reaction up and then that just sells off immediately. So we have to pay attention to this. If we build up into tomorrow, watch out, because we'll be watching this live for Jerome Powell. The reason you have to be a little worried here, that daily has crossed over. You're seeing another red bar down here on the histogram, and you have all those divergences, and we haven't gone with the 5% pullback in a long time. So that just tells me I have to be open to some kind of pullback soon, especially when I'm seeing those signals. It's really starting to look like a rug pull is coming. And if that comes very, very rapidly, people won't even be able to get out of their position. This could just boom down to this area because we've trickled up for so long. We're seeing that price action start to get a little wonkier. That happens towards a top. Now we see the double top signal on that 2-hour. If that fully plays out, then we could see this start to stair step its way down over time. These yellow lines are going to be those monthly expected moves. If you want the monthly expected moves for every stock that we cover on this channel for April, then go down in the description and click on Patreon. Okay, now the Q is looking forward, similar thing, but wasn't able to even test that high. Now the funny thing about where the daily is for tomorrow, if we were able to see that curl up on this 30-minute, go into positive territory, you can see a little green bar here on the histogram as of right now. So little edge towards the bulls here, as we weren't able to break through this low. And we were talking about how this would head up. So we're not saying this has to crash down. We understand that this takes time, and we were just paying attention to certain signals. And when they pop up, you want to pay attention to them and be a little bit careful and maybe hedge. But this right here, left, we said if we come up into this area, we could create a head and shoulders. Well, you got left, you got the head, you got the possible right shoulder. So if we wanted to, we could break to the upside here. That would make some sense. We've grabbed a lot of liquidity in this area, and so we're expecting some kind of big move. Curling up into positive territory, you got to give the edge to the bulls at this point. But if this just starts to fail, we can pay attention to the bottom of our week or daily expected move for tomorrow. Those levels would be 448.34 to the upside and 441.56 to the downside. Very thin priced in move for tomorrow. So I'm really leaning towards this touching one of these areas. So we might react up to this point, get that pullback down, and then head higher. We'll pay attention to that live, right? But we could also just react to this level and then see us start to fail. We're going to pay attention if some kind of little divergence is formed up here. It's not looking pretty from an overall, positive perspective, an overall investment standpoint. For us traders out here, we can just go with the price action, trade like water, but volatility looking like it really wants to creep up soon. Apple, in our Sunday video, we were mainly saying how there's a way up and a way down. Left head, right shoulder to head up. Now we're seeing that breakdown. Look how that crosses down, goes green for a moment, but crosses down on the MACD here and goes into negative territory. What happens? Well, we test this low. We take out the previous one. We test the lower one. All right, so we're testing that level now. We actually broke through it for a brief moment, but weren't able to fully get that low, seeing that kind of flag out at the end of the day. So the second option looks like to be on right now. That would be the left, the head, and the right shoulder forming maybe tomorrow. Okay, so I'm not saying we can't see positivity tomorrow, but Apple really telling us, especially if it confirms a little head and shoulders in here, that it wants to head to lower levels. And that's why we want to pay attention when we're seeing those ugly, ugly sell signals. Tesla breaking down fast, able to buy back up. That is very, very important for Tesla. Now it has the opportunity maybe to come test 180.92 again, right? So we want to see if this 2 hour is able to curl back up in positive territory. That's what I would say with this one. Now, if it wanted to break down further tomorrow, then we could see it come all the way down towards something like 167 and pop up. That would give you the left, the head, and the right shoulder. It kind of looks like Apple here, but as we are flagging, we see that break through. We can pay attention if this curls up positive territory. You're most likely going to test this level right up here. Test somewhere around this 180.92. That's been very important in the past, okay? So pay attention to this on Tesla. We could see that curling up, and I hope that some people were enjoying the Patreon video that was put out today because we went through a lot of these stocks. Now, we did get this reaction up. Is that going to curl up? Well, we have to look at the 30 minutes, see if this actually goes positive. First thing needs to happen to see some positivity, get that 2 hour to curl up. You need this 30 minute to keep getting that strength, get into positive territory. As you are down here in negative, you open up the door for this to just roll back over. If this just rolls back over, then you're going to test this low or go make a new one. So be very careful with Tesla moving forward. Amazon, one thing that we were paying attention to on the overall daily scale, actually, seeing this want to cross up into positive territory. That would be a very positive thing for Amazon, but you're seeing that selling come in right above it. So really want to pay attention to this actually crossing. It was crossed for this morning. This morning it was crossed, which said we could see that positivity, but that started to fail. So if this rejects tomorrow, that actually would be some very bad news. And I'm going to tell you guys why. And it's a hint into what we learn in the course, right? This center line is very, very important. We could make a divergence if we get that positivity, right? But if we don't make that divergence and we just reject, sometimes that is even worse because you are very, very close to that negative territory, to starting a negative trend on the daily scale. So be very, very careful with Amazon because as you look at a 2 hour, we have a divergence as of right now. Now, this is still back to green on the histogram, so we want to pay attention to that. But price here getting very, very tight, and a very explosive move is coming for Amazon very soon, and maybe Jerome Powell says something on Wednesday about that. So we have to pay attention to this. We're going to be paying attention to these stocks before CPI on April 10th as well. Now, NVIDIA, someone live came out and said NVIDIA looks really bullish, and I don't know what someone is seeing here that looks bullish at least for the next day or so. You don't want to be trying to predict which way things like, especially NVIDIA, that is very, very up and down. You can lose or make a lot of money here, but you want to pay attention to your trigger to actually take a position, and you're not seeing that MACD curl up on the 2 hour. So if you want to see a bullish move in NVIDIA, you're going to need that 2 hour to curl back up into positive territory. That's very, very simple. Crosses up, gets above the center line, we see continued strength. Maybe we make some kind of divergence up in this area. Maybe we even go to 1,000 this week. But I believe that that will be probably a fake out at that point, probably some kind of trap at $1,000. Am I leaning towards that? No, this looks very, very flaggy at this point. So I want to pull up a 30 minute and just show how we did cross over for a brief moment, but that has been able to buy back up. So we're still green down here on the histogram, but we are not in positive territory. So weirdly enough, you do have a small divergence here, right? We have a small double bottom down here. You can see that tiny red bar giving you that divergence, giving it on the RSI as well. So right now you would have to say, hey, this does have the opportunity to go positive and roll up that 2 hour MACD. But if this just rolls down, look at the negative territory. We have a lot of room to make a divergence, and maybe we want to head down towards 855 before we actually get a meaningful bounce. So really pay attention to this on NVIDIA. Pay attention if that 30 minute is able to cross down into negative territory. And then if you're looking for that positivity, you just need that 2 hour to cross up, and you could see a positive move from NVIDIA. AMD kind of giving us a little bit of fake outs left and right? We kind of pulled way up early on in the day. I know someone in the chat was saying how they were able to make some good money on AMD. Congratulations if you were, but now look, we are crossing down. So if you want to head higher here, you're going to need to kind of do this number. You're going to need to be able to consolidate higher levels, not see some kind of sell-off. Because if you see some kind of sell-off, we can roll right into negative territory. That's where I wanted to bring up the 2 hour. 2 hour very telling for AMD, kind of the opposite of NVIDIA right now. This thing in negative territory, been negative for a brief point of time here, and we can see that roll down here. So if this is going to see a positive move, I think we have a chance to close this gap. But I'm going to say if we do see a positive move, look at that, we could actually just curl back down into negative territory. We can curl down into negative territory tomorrow, and that would be very, very bad for AMD. I believe when that happens, we may just break this low, head a little bit lower. Where would I be paying attention? Well, this gap fill down here towards that price point of about 164. I think that we can come all the way down to there and then see some kind of reaction, maybe going up in the future. Maybe that's your pullback for AMD. So we're not saying this has to all crash down. It's just the signals right now at the beginning of this video are telling you to be very, very cautious in the market. And you're seeing things like this. And when something wants to break down, it builds up to the center line and then it curls down. So pay attention to AMD curling down into negative territory tomorrow. If it's able to remain positive, well, then we can go fill this gap. Meta looks like it wants to cross up into positive territory. The only thing is I actually left the top side of the weekly expected move for Meta on here just so you could see it. It's what we give out on Patreon, 501.14, and I'm going to double check that just to make sure that that's the weekly expected move for it. And we have Meta here looking like 501.14 to the upside. Okay, 501.14 to the upside. So the thing about this is it's decently far down into negative territory. If we curl up, curl back over, well, that could solidify that we are now in a negative trend. We could start to break through, make a new low, right? We could build up to this point, make a new low. That would tell you, hey, now we are in a negative trend and we'll have to pay attention to what stocks look like before CPI. But Meta telling you, hey, I'm not the strongest guy in the stock market right now. And that's something to pay attention to. The last one I just wanted to show you guys stock-wise was Google. And I wanted to put the weekly expected move up there. This is something that we put out on Patreon. We were just saying, remember that one time when Meta came outside of its weekly expected move to the downside early on a Monday? Well, that just happened with Google just the other direction. Now, what happened when Meta did this? Well, it was able to build back up over time, and now we're seeing it hit higher levels. So we paid attention to it then. We're going to pay attention to it now. Google looking like it wants to pop up, consolidate above that, right? We consolidate above these. We can use them as support to head higher. But as of right now, I'm thinking that this might create some kind of 15-minute divergence and then be ripped away. I really, really do. I think this little divergence up here, because I do have a higher percentage chance of this landing down, it's happening on a Monday. We could see some kind of pop up and then see that all ripped away by the end of the week. So Google is one you really want to pay attention to for any kind of setups because it's looking like the best one if you're looking to get a position to the downside. A couple things, if we see that positivity, volatility here could drop off and come fill this gap down here and make another point of reference, maybe with another divergence right by positive territory. So this did curl up into positive territory. If we see that bullishness come in, look for another point of divergence. And then the other thing I'd say, if we're going to see that negativity come in right away, then I'm expecting us to not be able to even come and fill this gap down here. I really am. I don't think we'll be able to fill these gaps down here, and we'll just start to base out and curl back up. See if that curls up in positive territory. That means volatility is now in a 30-minute positive trend, and you got to be worrisome as the daily is so close to crossing. So even though this bar is wicking out, we might see some positivity coming in tomorrow. Is that quickly reversed the other way? Is that quickly ripped away in the morning? Well, that's what we'll pay attention to live tomorrow. See if this is able to see a big move upward. That would cross up going into positive territory. Bad things happen when you cross up into positive territory on the VIX. So the main takeaway here is stocks like Google are telling you and signals are telling you that this is a very, very interesting time. We're seeing things that normally would lead to the stock market heading lower actually show some stocks head higher. The stock market is able to hold up at higher levels while the dollar is breaking out, while the yields are going crazy, while, what is it? Google's hitting its weekly expected move on a Monday and able to hold above it. We are seeing some crazy price action out there. That's why we need to be trading like water. But for the most part, it might be a time to say, hey, let me sit on my hands and just wait for this pullback, this correction, or possibly this rug pull, this absolute rug pull that could be happening with these signals to play out so that I can invest in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Remember that course is up for $100 for the next 12-ish hours until tomorrow morning. So live, we'll be talking about how that price is increasing now. So make sure to grab that tonight if you're interested and join the Patreon if you want to get these weekly expected moves for all the individual stocks. But I just want to say thank you because you guys are fantastic. Tons of you guys showing up live every single day, liking, subscribing, doing all that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you guys have all the luck in the world trading the rest of the week, and I hope you have a good night. Peace.